Okay, so Land Use Act 1978. Prior to the Land Use Act enacted in 1978, all lands belongs to the indigenous families dwelling on such land. Before 1978, every land belongs to the families, we call them the ancestral owners, the first settlers in any location. For instance, the people that first resided in Abeokuta, the people that first resided in Oyo, they claimed the land that they were the owners. So every time the government is in need of land, maybe for a project, or maybe they want to use it for something, they need to go and meet these families and say, please, we need land to build hospital. We need land to build schools. So more or less, like, the government is always at the mercy of these families. And these families, they can decide to release it to them, to give them, and at times they can decide not to give it to them. So when General, can you please help us to meet when you come in? You are welcome, sir, Mr. Ogundiri. So whenever government wants to do these projects, please, Mr. Ogundiri, help us to mute your... Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So whenever the government, whenever they want to build this project, they are at the mercy of these families. And so when General Obasanjo came in 1978, this was enacted that all lands now belong to the government. It is vested on the governor of every state to administer such land for public use. So which means the government is no longer at the mercy of these families whenever they need land. So they can do whatever they want to do with it, as long as it is in public interest. There's that caveat. That's why you see that some people will take the government to court, yet they will win the case at the end of the day. We are still going to get there. In the case of what happened at Magodo, what happened at Muhammadu Buhari estate here in Abeokuta, that the families won. They won the government. It is possible. Some people will tell you that you can never win the government, but we have seen cases where people won the government, because even the Land Use Act of 1978, there are caveats in it. It is said for public use. So anything that overrides this, maybe a governor, for instance, just decided to take hectares of land just for personal use. This is not for public use. Therefore, if such a family should take that governor to court, or that particular government to court, that family will win if they have an astute lawyer. I'm coming. I have something in the chat. Let me quickly check. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. So that is how the Land Use Act of 1978 came into being. That every land is now vested in the government, especially the state governor, to administer for public use from 1978. And that is the law that we are still using today. I read in the newspaper, some people are now calling for at least they should review it. We cannot be using 1978 law because it's affecting the real estate industry, no doubt. The Land Use Act of 1978 is affecting. There are some portions of it that is affecting. For instance, then it is easy for you to get CFO, certificate of occupancy, but now it is not so easy. So that's why these laws needs to be reviewed. So let's look at the next slide. So you can see this table. Land Use Act 1978. Every land is now, okay, let me move to this one. Every land is now divided majorly into two. We have the government acquired land and the freehold land. Government acquisition means government has decided they have acquired those lands. It does no longer belong to the families. And every government acquired land is divided mainly into two. And this is where we need understanding. Number one, we have committed acquisition. Number two, we have uncommitted acquisition. You can see that under committed acquisition, I wrote, it is there, high risk. When you buy such land, you are at high risk. Why? Because they are committed, that land is committed, maybe to build cantonments for soldiers, maybe to build a police barrack, to build hospitals. Mr. Afemi Oshile, please help us to unmute. Help us to mute, sorry. Help us to mute.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So, committed acquisition. It is committed. It is specific for a specific use. Maybe cantonments, barracks. It could be for a national park, an amusement park. It could be for canal. It could be for bridge. For instance, what is happening in Lagos? Some people have bought land where 4th Million Bridge is to be erected, is to be constructed. 4th Million Bridge, they've built houses. Those houses are going to be demolished. Why? Because it is committed land. It is committed acquisition. I understand that sometimes you buy such land and you go scot-free. Maybe at the end of the day, the government may decide to release it. But it's not so common in Lagos and Abuja. Please, especially when you find yourself in this territory, Lagos, Abuja, when you see committed land, run. Don't even try to invest your money. In other states, for instance, in Ogun State where I reside, we have seen many instances where committed acquisition is being released. In the case of those who know Ladere, those who know Lukosi, those who know Liquide Estates, they were once committed, and eventually it was released from that sector, from that set, which is committed acquisition. So they released it to the public that they can ratify it. But when you find yourself in a state like Abuja or Lagos, please, they are so strict on this when they say it is committed. We have seen places in Ogun State, for instance, where it was committed for shooting range for soldiers. And people bought it, and eventually when the place is developed, the government just decided to take the soldiers to somewhere else. But please don't try it in Lagos or Abuja. It is high risk. Uncommitted acquisition. So that's why whenever you want to buy land, you need to know, is the land committed or uncommitted? So acquisition is not general. It is divided into two, committed or non-committed. Uncommitted means the government just acquired the land. They don't have any purpose for the land. They just acquire the land. They do not have any specific purpose. So if you go and chat it, for instance, they will tell you it is under acquisition, but you need to ask further, is it committed or non-committed? Because something happens to me personally, and that's why I usually try to take my time to explain this. We bought a land, I think around 2017 precisely, yes. And later we got to know that that land, I was not in real estate then, I've not joined real estate. Later we got to know that that land was under acquisition, but we didn't know the difference between committed or non-committed. We just got to know that it was committed, it was on acquisition. So the agent who was in charge just told us, he said, sell this land, that because it's under acquisition. And because we were informed then, we were not adequately informed, we sold the land in a hurry. Even though we bought it at 400,000 naira, we sold it for 2 million. We still again, but currently land there is at the range of 5 million naira. What if I've held onto it rather than quickly selling it? Because those lands at times, so at the end, I got to know that that land was uncommitted acquisition, which means it was just there for government just acquired it. And I need to say this in passing. Most of the uncommitted land, what government usually use them to do is to generate revenue. That's why you need to know. That's why they will tell you, you can come and ratify. And that's why you see under this table, you see ratification or regularization. That is the first way uncommitted acquisition is released to the public. Number one, ratification or regularization. They will tell you, come and ratify. For instance, where I said in Abeokuta, they are ratifying for 500,000 naira now. Many people who bought that land, some bought it. I know a man who said he bought it at 2013. He bought it for 400,000 naira, a plot. Now they are ratifying for how much? The maximum I've seen, the person who said he ratified at Ladere, for instance, ratified for 500,000 naira, making how much? That's 900,000 naira. But a plot of land at Ladere, at that Liberty Estate, is currently going for 12 million naira. Currently, the minimum you can see there is 12 million naira. So in my study, I've seen that when you buy uncommitted acquisition, because many people usually run from it, from acquisition generally, they don't know whether it is committed or uncommitted. So that's why you need to ask, is it uncommitted? It is still medium risk, because there is risk in real estate. There's risk. Even the land you bought that is free of hold, that is not under acquisition. Government can come tomorrow and they will put it under acquisition. They will say it is acquired. We have had instances like that. I can give you examples. So you ratify by going to the government, you go through the process and you pay a certain sum of money and you ratify it. And from there, you can now process your certificate of occupancy, C of O. Number two, another way uncommitted acquisition is released to the public is called escission. Escission. Escission means government took that parcel of land, that expanse of land from the family. They acquired it. Now the family can approach the government and say, please, you took 10,000 acres from us. It is our own. Please release a portion out of it to us so that we can sell it. Now, government can now decide to release a portion. So the word escission means to release. To release. So it is being exercised, it is being excised, it's being released to the family. So out of that 10,000 acres, the government can decide to release maybe 2,000 acres to them. That, okay, go and enjoy it, go and sell it. So an escission document is issued. Now you may say, what is Gazette? I need to say this, please. Get me here, because I had an experience here. At times, an escission document has been issued, but a gazette has not been issued. A gazette is more or less like a public government record that shows to the public that this is what is happening with the government. In the next slide, I'll be defining it one after the other. So an escission document might have been issued, but it is not yet gazetted, which means it is not yet made public. So it happened in 2011. It was Governor Gbenga Daniel in Ogun State who issued the escission document to that family. And eventually he left government in 2011. When the next government came in, which was Governor Bikola Amoso, he revoked that escission document. It has not yet been gazetted. Yet the family was selling that land to the public. So what happened? Which means that land is still under acquisition. So that's why when you see escission document, ask for the gazette. Because the moment it has been gazetted, it means it has been released. So that family can take the government to court and they will win, because it was the government who gazetted it. But it was an escission document that has been issued, but a gazette is yet to be issued. So that's why their brothers and sisters, don't just go with one, ask for the second leg. These are many questions you need to ask when it comes to you buying, investing, or when it comes to real estate investments. So escission and gazettes. Then we have the third one, which is government allocation. The third way uncommitted acquisition is released to the public is through government allocation. For instance, in Lagos State currently, Governor Sanwo-Olu is not issuing escission document again. He's issuing government allocation. And government allocation, I would like to use more or less like they are selling the land. That's why I said this uncommitted acquisition, the major idea behind it that I have seen personally, I stand to be corrected, is that they are using it to generate revenue. For instance, I had one that we are handling of recent. The government sold it to doctors in Ogun State, I think for 7 or 20 million naira. They acquired the land from the families and they sold it to the doctors, to NMA, to National Medical Association. So that's the third way. So any of this makes uncommitted acquisition to be free. Is it that through ratification or regularization? That one is done personally or by a company. Escission or gazettes, then we have government allocation. Then we have the second part. I said every land is divided into two, government acquisition or freehold. Freehold means government has not shown interest in that land. That is the kind of land you see Omonile selling. You buy from Omonile. it means it is freehold. Once you go to the land or the Bureau of Land, you will see that that land is not under acquisition. But government can still come tomorrow and they will put it under acquisition. That is freehold today. For instance, many people buying Ekpe. Ekpe today, Ekpe Lagos State is major part is freehold. But I can tell you that in 2024, anything can happen. In 2025, it happened in the Bejuleki. Government just came and they said there are 16,000 acres is under acquisition. Formerly freehold. They just say and declare that 16,000 acres. So people will have to ratify again. They'll have to buy it the second time. That's why I said it's an income generating strategy for the governments. So what happens when you are buying a land of freehold? It means you can go ahead and process your CFO. That is the only way you are safe when you buy a freehold land. But as long as you are yet to get your CFO, the land is not yet safe. It's not safe. The government can come tomorrow and they will tell everybody that this land is now under acquisition. That's what real estate investors, real estate developers are fighting for now. That let the Land Use Act of 1978, let it be reviewed. It's no longer working in the 21st century. Let it be reviewed. How can the government just come tomorrow after people have built their house on a freehold land and you are saying that now it is under acquisition? They will now start running eta and scatter. So this has to be corrected, and so many irregularities in the Land Use Act of 1978 that is no longer working. For instance, there are some governors, ever since they came for the last five years, they've not signed one CFO. They've not signed one. I don't want to mention some states. They have not signed one CFO. And is it everybody that can even afford CFO? The minimum you will process a CFO now is 2 million naira. That's in Ogun State. In Lagos, it could be as high as 4 million naira. CFO. So that's why you want to sell land, and people are asking, does the land have CFO? A land of 1 million naira. How much is CFO? How much do you think they are processing CFO now? The actual documents may not be more than 500,000, but the processes, all the tables, you know Nigeria, we are in Nigeria, you understand better. All the people you have to settle, and if you don't settle them, your CFO is going nowhere. It may not even pass through the first stage. So those are that's the Land Use Act of 1978. I hope we've gotten this. Before I move on, okay, if you have any question, please kindly note on this Land Use Act 1978, because I can tell you, if you understand this, you are good to go as an employee, as a self-employed, as a business owner in the real estate, and as an investor in real estate. If you understand this table, many people don't understand this table as simple as it is. So we move to the next, which is the definition of terms: land titles and documentation. Land titles and documentation. Number one is the certificate of occupancy. Certificate of occupancy is a government-issued document used to prove ownership of land. It's a government-issued document used to prove ownership of land. Without C of O, your land can be seized at any point in time without compensation. That's it. Without C of O. So you can say that the Land Use Act gave the government so much power. And when many governors are not signing C of O, what do? There's nothing we can do. We are more or less like we are helpless. So that's certificate of occupancy. It is I won't say it's not the highest, but when you have it, your mind is at rest. You can use it in the bank as a collateral, whenever you can present it. But also, please let me raise these caveats. According to Section 28 of the Land Use Act 1978, C of O, certificate of occupancy, can be revoked. So whenever you want to buy a land or you see C of O, don't just rely on it. Go and check. There's something called document number, volume number. You don't even need the old document. Just copy that volume number. Go and ask at the Ministry of Lands, is this C of O still valid? Let me cite an example of what happened here at the interchange in Ogun State. Somebody wanted to buy acres of land, and they were at the final point of sealing that deal. That deal was over 1 billion naira, over 1 billion. The agents in charge, they were already happy. Some of them have even gone ahead as far as pricing cars that they were going to buy. It was at the final point of that transaction. One of those that came to buy the land, she came with the woman, just asked, have we confirmed the authenticity of this CFO? The CFO now, what do we need to confirm? The man just said, let us confirm whether it is still valid. Eventually, they went to the Bureau of Lands and they saw that, they got to know that that CFO has been revoked. Because under Section 28, CFO can be revoked. That was how that transaction ended. It didn't go beyond that. So don't be elated. Don't be ecstatic just because a land has CFO. Ask the question, is this CFO still valid? And you just let them give you the volume number. Just copy the volume number, take it to the Ministry of Lands. They will chat it for you. They will tell you whether the CFO is still valid or not. And please, every CFO is valid for 99 years. What happens after 99 years? We don't know yet. Some people said renewal, but since the CFO came into being in 1978, so we are yet to see the first 99 years. But agri land has 25 years lifespan. So that's another thing. So when they tell you it has CFO, the matter you need to ask, is it agri land? These are questions people don't ask. These are questions. As I am, I can buy committed acquisition. It is only a matter of being strategic. I'm not afraid. It's just a matter. But I will not try it in Lagos. I will not try it in Abuja. Those two places. Once they tell me that it is committed, I will not buy it. So I'm not afraid at this point in time because I keep on searching. I keep on learning. I keep on learning court cases. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an accountant and an economist by profession. That is what I studied. But when I came into real estate, I saw that there are so many issues in real estate. So I started studying so much because I want to be informed. So I studied cases. Okay, what happened? In the case of Magodo, the people at CFO, what happened? We are going to get there. What happened in the case of Magodo? The people at CFO, yet they had to buy the land again. So which means CFO is not final. Do you understand? So there's another one, even though it is no longer in use, which is the right of occupancy, right of ownership, majorly. Right of ownership is the rights, they call it right of ownership or right of occupancy. I made a mistake. Right of occupancy. Right of occupancy is the right given to an individual or community to occupy or use a portion of land lawfully according to the Land Use Act provision. It means you are just given the right to use the land. It is different from CFO. So, but due to the abuse, right of occupancy is no longer common. So, but when you say right of occupancy, the person has right of occupancy. It only means the person has the right to use the land. Any day, anytime the government wants to use that land, it can still be acquired. But when they come that they want to acquire a land that has a certificate of occupancy, that person will be compensated. But in the case of right of occupancy, such a person will not be compensated. So that's the major difference between certificate of occupancy and right of occupancy. So when people saw that it is not that valid, it is not that relevant when it comes to the genuineness of the land, they start issuing it. So that's the major difference. It is just the right to use a land, more or less like you have the deed of assignment. So that's the first two titles. Then we have the governor's consent. Governor's consent. What is governor's consent? A certificate of occupancy is only issued once. It has never, I don't know, we are in Nigeria, so I won't want to be absolute. But according to the law, a certificate of occupancy should only be issued once on a portion of land, which means if you want to buy a land that has CFO, you cannot go to the government and say, I want to process the CFO in my own name. It is not possible. What you are going to ask for is governor's consent. So that now transfers the ownership of that certificate of occupancy to you. So that is what governor's consent means. You are buying a land that has certificate of occupancy. in another person's name. So you now want that certificate of occupancy to be yours. A governor's consent is issued on that certificate of occupancy. So when you are buying a land and you hear that it has governor's consent, what is governor's consent? Governor's consent is more or less like a sister to certificate of occupancy. It's more or less like a certificate of occupancy, but a certificate of occupancy is only issued once, can only be issued once on a parcel of land. Hence, subsequent buyers of that property or land are obligated to acquire a governor's consent. So that is governor's consent. So then we have the next one, which is the Supreme Court judgments. This one is real. Supreme Court judgments. What happened in the case of Magodo? A family has the C of O. Another family just had the deeds of assignments. Now, there's something in the law called prima facie, which means certificate of occupancy is just an evidence that, okay, the government certified that you are the owner. And don't forget, every government is divided into three. We have the legislative arm, we have the executive arm, and we have the judiciary. So it is the judiciary that interprets the law. Now, the Land Use Act of 1978 is to be interpreted by the judiciary. So a family, okay, for instance, Mr. A bought a land from Mr. Oyeshile. Mr. A, okay, let me put it this way. Mr. B bought a land from Mr. A. He bought it in August. And Mr. A issued a deed of assignment. The lawyer prepared the deed of assignment and also a land receipt, a purchase receipt to Mr. B. In October that same year, Mr. A now sold that land to Mr. C. He sold it in August to Mr. B. He's now selling it in September or in October to another person. Now, which is Mr. C. Mr. C now goes ahead to process his own C of O. The question is, who owns the land? In the face of the law, it is Mr. B, because as at August, Mr. A had already sold the land to who? To Mr. B. So Mr. C is only buying a land that belongs to Mr. B. So Mr. C now goes ahead to process the C of O. He only has the C of O. If they go to court, Mr. B will win the case. Why? Because as at when he was buying the land in September or in October, Mr. A had already sold the land to who? To Mr. B. So that was what happened in the case of Magodo. That people were said, Magodo has C of O, they bought it, yes. But that family, the original owner, had already sold it to a family. But those ones did not process the C of O. They only had the deed of assignment. That's why deed of assignment is very important. Deed of assignment and your receipts. Land purchase receipts, the receipts. But at times, you know, it's a family, they may not have receipts, some families may not have receipts. But please, the deed of assignment is very crucial. I know to say this before we get there, because it may skip my mind. Make sure it is a lawyer that prepares your deed of assignments. And not just a lawyer. We have generalists, we have specialists. Make sure it is a property lawyer. I'm talking from experience. If I begin to go into some of my experiences in my short while in real estate, sincerely, there's a difference between a property lawyer and other lawyers. Just like when you have issues with your teeth, you can go to a generalist today, a general practice, a doctor that practices generally. But if you really want that root, the teeth issue to come to an end, maybe it's reoccurring, you need to go to a dentist. So when it comes to real estate, and you know that you will be doing transactions frequently, please look for a property lawyer. They are experts, they are astute in what they do. And number two is that even though they may be costlier than general lawyers, but it's worth it at the end. It's worth it. I can tell you that. I can give you that free information. So Supreme Court judgment supersedes is the highest title. When you see Supreme Court judgment on a land, sincerely, you can go to rest. Because that's the highest court of law. It supersedes even C of O. Somebody is carrying C of O on a portion of land. Another person is carrying Supreme Court judgment. Please buy the one that has Supreme Court judgments. So that's So that was what happened in the case of Magodo. The family had just deed of assignments. Another one had C of O. The one that had deed of assignments won. Why? Because it was the first person that bought it. It was not the second person, the person who had C of O. So people can go ahead and process C of O. But the matter is the deed of assignment. That's why the deed of assignments is very, very important. That is what really transfers ownership. Let's move on. I think I've explained this in the process. It is called accession documents, which means the accession is the process of government releasing an allotment of land back to the original owners. When I said government acquired 10,000 acres and eventually they released 22,000 back to the family, they issue an accession document, after which it is now being gazetted. This is a gazette. So a gazette is a legal record book that explicitly details the characteristics of a parcel of land that has exercised and recovered by the family or community. It is now being made public. Everybody can now see that, oh, government has released this land to the families. Then we have something called government allocation. Government allocation, that's another title that government issues to people. So companies, issues to families, government allocation. But most of this one, it usually comes with a price. It usually comes with a price. So what is the next one is deed of assignments. Now, I need to say this. Even though it's technical, but I know we have some real estate agents amongst us, so that's why I need to say this. Land titles, every land title is a land document. But not all land documents are land titles. Every land titles are land documents. A C of O is a land title and it's also a land document. Government allocation letter is a land title and it's also a land document. Governor's consent is a land title and is also a land document. But deed of assignment is a land document, but it's not a land title. I'm saying this for real estate agents, realtors, brokers that are amongst us, so you know the difference. When you are asking what is the title to this land, and they are telling you it's deed of assignment. Deed of assignment is not a title. It means it's still freehold. It still belongs to the ancestral owners or it has been transferred. But we only use it to just more or less like what is the status of the land. So when people ask, okay, what's the title of the land? I said the status of the land is freehold. So it only has deed of assignment and a survey plan. So that's deed of assignment. Deed of assignment is used to transfer ownership, interest, and title from one person to the other, from the seller to the buyer. It shows that we have released every interest in this, and it is used when there's consideration. Consideration, we call consideration, which means money is involved. When it is a gift, maybe a father giving his or her son, or giving somebody, when a church, when, for instance, you want to give your church a piece of land, what is issued is not deed of assignment. That one is called deed of gifts. Deed of gifts. In this one, they will use assigner and assignee. In that one, they will use donor and donee. So it's different. So when it is no consideration, no money is involved, deed of gifts, you are donating it. So it is deed of gift, not deed of assignments. So in case you come across deed of gifts, and there's something also called deed of conveyance. Deed of conveyance. Deed of conveyance is still deed of assignment. Deed of sales is still deed of assignments. Now we have land purchase receipts. So receipt is receipts. Very important, especially if you are buying directly from Omonile. They are selling parcels of land. Please let them give you family receipts. If you are buying from real estate company, let them give you their receipts. Real estate company or buying directly from Omonile, let them give you their receipts. Now, contract of sale. Contract of sale is just a document. Maybe you are into contracts. Okay, you want to buy, let's say, a parcel of land, and you are telling the person, I don't have the cash. I'm going to pay you in 3 months in piecemeal. I'm going to stagger the payments. That is when you issue a contract of sale. Contract of sale binds the person not to sell the land within that 3 months. That is what contract of sale is all about. So when you want to buy land and you know you are not going to pay once, you are going to stagger your payments, you are going to pay in piecemeal, maybe for the next 6 months, especially from Omonile, please let them issue you a contract of sale. If not, You will deposit your money with them. Let's say the land is 1 million naira. You will deposit, let's say, 400,000 naira, and eventually they go and sell that land because there's nothing binding them that you are already in a contract. So contract of sale, it's not something that is tenable outside, but it shall just show that those people are under a contract, under an agreement that that land is not to be sold until you default. Maybe after 6 months that you promised that you're going to pay and you did not pay it, you did not complete the payments. So, and also in the contract of sale, it will be stated that, okay, what happens by the time maybe me as the buyer, I default, I did not balance up their payments. What happens? For instance, of real estate companies will tell you, we are going to surcharge you. You are going to pay default fee. It could be 30% of how much you have deposited or something. So that is what contract of sale is all about. Then we have the last land documents. Land documents. It's a survey plan. A survey plan, what is the, let me just go straight to the essence of the survey plan. A survey plan shows you the exact location of the land. That's why it is very important, survey plan, whether provisional or registered. Very important. Because if you have deed of assignment and you don't have a survey plan, except when you use a property lawyer, that's why I said you should use a property lawyer. I once did a real estate transaction, even the deed of assignment is here with me. This very deed of assignment that you see in my hand, it is not stated the coordinates of the land, that when you see this document, for instance, you cannot say this is where the land is located. But if it is a property lawyer that drafted it, he knows how he's going to draft it, that you will know from the deed of assignment, you'll be able to trace that land. That is a property lawyer for you. It will state it in the history of the land. In the there's a portion that says description and details. It will state it there. A property lawyer will state it there that right from the deed of assignment, you could know exactly where the land is located. So, but the essence of the survey plan is good to have a survey plan, either provisional. If you don't have money for registered survey, at least go for provisional survey. It shows the exact location of the land. It shows the size of the land. It shows the shape of the land. Number 4, it shows the boundaries of the land. And number 5, it shows the coordinates of the land. You may ask, what is the coordinate of the land? Coordinate of the land is more or less like the fingerprint of the land. No two lands has the same coordinates. That is why the coordinate is very important. Coordinates that is written on the survey plan, that is being stated on the survey plan. You will see something degree. So that's the coordinates. So let's move on. So we are going to move to the last phase now, which is, okay, quickly, this is not in my slide, but let me mention it in passing. I mentioned land sizes. Land sizes. It's just for, especially those who are just coming into real estate. Agents already know this. There's no specific definition for a plot of land. Where here, a plot of land. They will tell you the standard measurements for a plot of land is what? Is 60 by 120. But according to Google, we have Googled it, you will see there, there's no standard definition, which means you are the one that should, it is the real estate company or the money that is selling to you that will tell you, our own plot is 450 square meter. Our own plot is 60 by 120. Our own plot is 600 square meter. And one thing I've seen is many people don't even know the difference between when it comes to the conversion. Let me tell you the simplest way to convert land sizes. For instance, what you know is 60 by 120. You now say, okay, they are not telling you 60 by 120 equals to 648 square meter. Because I've seen people, they will tell you 60 by 120, 60 by 100, for instance, is 600 square meter. 60 by 100 is not 600 square meter. Once they give you the feet, which is 60 feet by 120 feet, just multiply it by 0.09. 0.09. It will give you the square meter. That is the simple formula. 60 by 100 feet. Just multiply it by 0.09. It will give you the square meter. For instance, some people will tell you, especially real estate company, they will tell you 60 by 100 is 600 square meter. It's not 600 square meter. It's 540 square meter. 540 square meter. Because when you multiply 60 by 100 by 0.09, it will give you 540 square meter. So please know this. So that's the simple way. I've met even people in real estate, they will tell you, it's only feet, I know. When you are calling square meter for them, they don't know. So it is what they will now give them. They will now tell them 60 by 100 is equal to 600 square meter. It's not 600 square meter. So that's why it is important to know it. 50 by 100, for instance, is, I think, 465 square meter. Just multiply it by 0.09. It will give you the square meter. So what? And the maximum plots you are to get in an acre. But when you Google an acre, the standard size of an acre is 4,068 square meter. 4,068 square meter. That is the standard definition of an acre all over the world. But now, many real estate, many homeowners have said, but the minimum they should measure for you as an acre is 4,000 square meter. 4,000 square meter. Because in an acre, you will have drainages, you will have canals. Everything is factored in that 1 acre. So the maximum you should have is what? Is 6 plots. So that, in order to maximize profit, that's why you see many real estate companies, they are selling 450 square meter, 400 square meter as a full plot. It is just to maximize sales. And you are at liberty to say, I'm not buying, but no real estate company will sell 648 square meter because they are going to have drainages, they are going to have gatehouse. There are some facilities that they just have to create and they have to factor it in. So that is, so there is a standard measurement for an acre. An acre should contain at least maximum of what? Of 6 plots, which is 4,068. But minimum they should sell to you as an acre. So when anybody is telling you, come and buy 1 acre of land, and they are telling you that 1 acre is 3,000 square meter, please, that one is not 1 acre. That one is 6 plots. And that 6 plots is 500 square meter per plot. They should not tell you that 3,000 square meter is an acre. An acre has a definition. A plot does not have a specific definition. So they will tell you 1 acre is, their own 1 acre is 3,000 square meter. No, you are selling to me 6 plots. If you want to sell 1 acre, an acre should not be less than 4,000 square meter. 4,000 square meter. And in 1 hectare, hectare is different from an acre. In 1 hectare, you will get 2 acres and half, which is 15, at least maximum of 15 plots. Maximum of 15 plots. In an hectare, HECTARE, you will have 2.5 acres. And don't forget, the maximum you can get in an acre is what? Is 6 plots. So, which means that will be 15 plots. So let's move on to the last part, which is land banking, definition of some terms. Let's know what's the difference between land banking and land flipping that people even talk about. Land, you don't have to buy and build. You can buy and resell. We are still going to get there in our day 4, which is the real estate business, real estate investments. We're going to get there. As any being in real estate, so you can begin to buy land. You have free money rather than keeping your money in the bank. Don't forget, you need cash. I said it the other time in our first lecture that you need savings. You need savings. So once you have 3 months to 6 months of your monthly expenses in your bank account as your savings, that is financial stability. Any excess fund, you are not using it in your business, please, you can use it to buy land. Just make sure you perfect your documents, buy from real estate company, just make sure they are legit, they know what they are doing. Buy, you can resell later. Just like I said, we bought a lot of land for 400,000 naira. That money I could have spent it on something else. And later we sold it for 2 million naira, just in a short period of time. I know somebody who said he bought a land, I think in 2018, 1.5 million naira. Today they are offering him 40 million naira. 40 million naira at Ibejuleki. He bought it 1.5 million naira. Today they are offering him 40 million naira for 1 plot, for that 1 plot. So it's a strategy. Whether you are an employee, whether you are self-employed, whether you are a business owner in real estate, or you are an investor, please buy land, resell. So now let's go to what is the difference between land flipping and land banking, because many people don't even know the difference. There's a difference. land flipping is a real estate investment strategy that involves buying lands at a low price and selling them at a high price to make profit on a short run. It simply means you are buying land now at a low price. That's why you need negotiation skills. We will get there. The skills you need as an investor, as a business owner in real estate. You need to know how to negotiate. So at a low price and selling them at a higher price to make profits on a short run. So you say that is land flipping. Then what is land banking? Land banking is the opposite. It means you buy low, you sell high on a long run. That's just the difference. In Coconut Mejeji, you want to buy land in order to resell. But when you want to resell matters. It is not that you know that you will need that money in the next 3 years. You now went to buy one bush. That one is land banking. It's not land flipping. When it is less than 5 years, it is land flipping. When it is more than 5 years, it is land banking. So you need to know your investment strategy. This money I want to invest in this real estate, in this land. When will I need the money back? Is it less than 5 years? Am I going to need it in the next 1 year? When you want to use it in the next 1 year, don't go and do land banking. Don't go and buy one bush. Do you understand? Don't go and buy one bush. Buy a developed or developing environment when it is land flipping, a developing environment. When it is land banking, on that undeveloped. When it is land flipping, is either underdeveloped, developing, or a developed environment location when it is land flipping, because anytime you can resell. But when it is land banking, it is undeveloped. You've not developed, just go and buy bush, invest, don't worry. It will. But please, when you are doing both, make sure the first thing you need to, I need to say this, because many people have got their hands burnt in investments, is the security. How secured is the land? Don't just say, Ibe, appreciate, it's going to appreciate on time. Forget about the appreciation rates. The first thing is it secured? And that's one of the reasons why we tell people, please, is it that you buy from a real estate company that is legit, or you buy from Omonile and fence it? If you want to buy from Omonile, you are not going to fence it. Don't buy. We were once a victim, not a victim. We bought a parcel of land. Then I was not yet in real estate. We got there a week after. They have dismantled the corner piece. Then I just quickly went and fenced it. Later, we heard that I think they were reselling those lands again. That they had to say, even the portion where they said it is for road. They sold it, those Omonile. So when it comes to buying from Omonile, I had a friend of mine. He told me he had another portion of land in his streets, the street where he built his personal house. He was one of the landlords. In that street, he had another land. He said he had to buy it again from Omonile. He just got there one day and somebody was already building foundation. It was like, I'm the owner of this land. And they told him, no, this is the new buyer. He said he had to plead with the person. I think he bought it, he paid the person, and eventually the money the person has paid, because he had to let the person know that, please, I need this land. This is my house there. He bought it again in his own very streets. So when you are buying from Omonile, please fence. Fence. It is important so that you not lose your land. Except you know that, okay, maybe because there are some Omonile, not all of them are callous. Not all of them are wicked. But in order to just prevent contingencies and the story that touched the hearts, please it's important you fence it and just put the gates. Because the truth is, anybody that enters into a fenced land, it is called encroachment. It is a criminal offense. So you can take such a person to court and the person will be liable. It is an encroachment. Even if they want to demolish that fence, they need to contact you first. It is an encroachment. You can ask a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but that's why it's good to. So you need to, how secured is the land? It is very important. So land flipping is short term. Land banking is long term because of our time. So just like I said, this is land banking. It is the difference is one is short term, one is long term. So what is the difference? Let's look at 5 differences so that you will know which one am I doing? Is it land flipping or land banking? Land flipping is short term. Land banking is long term, which means short term, it is less than 5 years. This money, I'm not using it now, but I'm going to use it in the next 1 year. Maybe your child, maybe one of your sons is in secondary school. By next time, is going to enter into the university. And you know that if you put the money in the bank, maybe you just collected contribution or you just collected one money, and you know that that's what you're supposed to use it for. So rather than say you put the money in the bank and the money will be devaluing, inflation will be eating it up. You can buy land. But when you are buying such land, make sure you are strategic about it. There must be demand for that location. That in 1 year time, when you want to sell it, we quickly liquidate it. We call such in accounting, we call it cash and cash equivalents. You can easily liquidate it. You can easily sell it off. So that's land flipping. Land banking is long term, above 5 years, you can buy. You can. One is developed, land flipping is developed location. Don't go and buy bush and say you are land flipping. That one is not land flipping, that one is land banking. Your goal is after 5 years, beyond 5 years. Undeveloped location, that is land banking. Land flipping is relatively cheap. Why? Because when you want to buy undeveloped or developed environments, you need money. You can't say you want to buy, let's say, a place like Lekki, and you want to land flip for there, and you're having 10 million naira. You can go and buy land bank in Ekpe, but not 10 million naira in Lekki. The minimum you will get in Lekki is maybe around 150 million minimum in Lekki now. So, land flipping is relatively cheap, but land banking is way cheaper. As little as 300,000 naira, you can start land banking. Just make sure the land is cheap, the land is secured, please. The land is secured. You can make your findings. There are some families, they don't have issues. Not necessarily you buy from a real estate company, but there are some families, they don't have issues. Find out about those people, about the family selling land there. Why some families, they will sell to 10 people, 10 different people. There are some cases in courts like that. You will forever continue to go to courts. So when you need to find out due diligence, it is not easy to find land flipping. Because one thing about land flipping is you need to know how to negotiate, because the goal of land flipping is to buy low. Do you know that one thing about land banking is it will appreciate over time? So even if you buy, let's say 500,000 naira now, in the next 5 years, that land would have appreciated. Maybe it would have become 1 million naira, 1.5 million naira, or 2 million naira. But when you are land flipping, your goal is to buy low. You must be specific and must buy low at a lower price beyond. Let's say in a location, they are selling that location, let's say 10 million naira, and you want to land flip. Don't buy it at 10 million naira. Look for somebody that wants to sell at 8 million naira. That is your advantage in land flipping. Because some people will tell you this thing is not even working. It's because you did not negotiate well. There's still a call I need to make after this training. There's a client that something happened. They are selling land in that location currently as 6-7 million, but the minimum you can see is 7 million, is 6 million. So there's this one person who now wants to sell on distress 4 million naira, and is a location that is in high demand. So I told this client of mine, but the person was not so serious about it. Then I found another client, and I sold it to the clients on this week. The thing happened this week. I think it was on Tuesday. Then that my client that I first told, she now told me to send the account number of the buyer, because one thing about me as a real estate broker is that I don't collect money from the buyer. I allow them to interact with themselves. I allow the monies to pass through the account. It will not pass through my account, not because of anything. It is just one of the cautions I put in place. If you need the details on this, I can explain later. So I now told her that, I'm sorry, the land has been sold. She's still fighting it now. She has sent people to me that what I did, because she knows the advantage of land flipping. She once bought land there, I think 2 months ago. I bought one for her distress sale. When you are land flipping, you are looking for distress sale. You want to take advantage of the markets. You are looking for cheap land. But make sure when it is cheap, make sure it is legit. I'll continue to say legit, because if I don't find your lapoya, in this case, I know that the land is legit. I know the people I'm buying from. So she bought it, and even the following month, I was telling her, do you want to resell? If you want to resell, you sell for 6 million naira. Just imagine, just within 1 month, she can sell for 6 million naira, 2 million naira again. That's why I told you that one thing about real estate is it is high demand, high profits. just 2 million naira without doing anything on the land. So it is not so easy to find. You need to work with a real estate agent that is trustworthy and that knows the markets. I asked somebody who called me from Canada, please, anytime you have distress sale in a good location, let me know. The person just called me on Thursday. Whenever you have, and I said, the one I just had, I've sold it. So you need to work. So easy to find, land banking is easy to find anywhere. Lekki, Ijebu-Ode, Oyo State, Odo Shaki, you can do land banking there. But please, when you are also doing land banking, let me raise these caveats. Don't go and buy inside that, even in the next 40 years, it will not develop. At least if it is 10 years, 15 years, that is okay, 20 years. But if you know that that place, just like I said last week, they told me that I should come and buy one land, 100,000 naira per acre. When the person told me the location, I said, this one. Even me, I think I would have, in the next 40 years, I don't think this land will develop. You need to be strategic. So it is not all land bank everywhere that you can land bank. And there are some lands you would have, even before you get there, you will not even have time to be visiting your land to say you want to go and inspect. So eventually, many people have lost their land because they were far away from the land. They couldn't get there and they lost their investments. So please, it is important. And that's why you're in this training. Retailer mindsets. Retailer means I want to buy and resell. Land banking. I'm buying now. I want to maximize my gain. I want to sell later in the future. So I buy it. The gain of land banking is I'm buying, I'm consolidating. It is cumulative. I'm consolidating my inventory. I buy Kobakwe today, tomorrow I buy Ekpe. So I'm land banking. I'm just buying it there. I have a man. I don't want to mention the power starter. He resigned from one of the government power starters, Federal, as the number 4 man. When I say number 4 of a Federal power starter, number 4. He retired. They've not paid his pension, but that man has bought lands like anything. Today, if he's about to be broke, you just tell somebody, help me to sell that land. He will collect his money. All the lands he bought for 100,000, 80,000 naira, 120,000 naira, he's now selling 2 million, 3 million naira. He bought them. So he's not relying on pension. He's not relying on gratuity. He did not rely on any. So that's another strategy you can use for your retirements. Use it to just buy different locations. And another thing I need to say, you need to also invest in different locations. Don't put your egg in one basket. I'm sorry I'm taking our time, but I'll try to finish up in the next 10 minutes. Now, don't put your egg in one basket when it comes to either land flipping or land banking. Why? At times, our projection, we only project, we only speculate. Nobody can say, I am 100% sure that this place will appreciate. Anything can happen tomorrow. Environmental pollution, for instance, there are some places in Ebejileki today that just because of the Dangote refinery is affecting them. And those people had to evacuate because it is not safe for human health. Some people are fishing around that Dangote refinery. They can't fish again. And some people are, this place will appreciate. So anything can happen. Another example is, I remember a man who is also a veteran in the industry. He said at a point in time, Ikorodu was selling for, I guess, was selling for 500,000 naira per plot. I can't remember the figure now. Arepo in Ogun State was selling for, I think, 800,000. He now said because Ikorodu is Lagos, and you know that Lagos now, but it has been a long time. He said they went ahead and bought plots of land in Ikorodu, and they bought few plots at Arepo. As at the time he was making that video, I think in 2021, he said a plot of land where they bought at Arepo was selling for 25 million naira, while a plot of land where they bought at Ikorodu was selling for less than 3 million naira. So at times you may say, this place is a good location. Please diversify. Don't just invest in one location. You never can tell which location will spring up first. Do you understand? So diversify. So let me move on. Why should you invest in land banking or land flipping? Even if you are a realtor, just do it. Buy lands. Land appreciates. Number 2, you have maximum control. Unlike crypto, unlike Forex, I've done it. I said it last week. I've done it 2020. That was what I was doing. It's not a gamble, it's a skill, but it plays on your emotion. You don't have maximum control. I remember in 2020, I was trading and a fundamental news dropped and I saw the thing was just, before I knew it, I've lost money. But in real estate, it can't happen like that. At least the fundamental news will still we still take time before it manifests. So you have maximum control. It's a better store of value. Rather than putting your money in bank, you can store your money in land. Just make sure, don't forget, secured. It secures the future. Just like I said, a man retired as the number 4 man. Number 4 man. Let me be specific so that you know that I'm not just giving. He retired as the number 4 man in INEC. INEC, yes. And today, he's living on that. The lands he has bought for 100,000. That's what he's living on. He just help me to say this one. Higher return on investments. Yes. It has higher return on investment. I just said somebody bought 4 million and the following months, are you ready to sell for 6 million? He said no. So it's higher return on investment. Somebody bought 1.5 as of 2018 today, they're offering him 40 million. It cannot be hacked. You cannot hack it, unlike your investments. So that's at this point in time, we come to an end of this lecture. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, you can unmute now and ask your question. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Thank you. No. Hello?
You can go ahead, sir. You can go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for this training. In fact, I can't just express how happy I am for all the information that you've put across. Now, it's not a question really. It's just
Okay, sir.
like a request.
Okay, sir.
Because of the way you presented all these facts,
Yes, sir.
can I, as a person, try to link up with you so that I can get some advice? I'm relatively new in real estate, and I'm also going to retire very soon. In fact, very, very soon, in a couple of months.
Oh, congratulations,
So
sir.
for all this you have said now, because I have some other properties that are in my care and whatever. So I would like to have a personal contact and link with you, if you don't mind.
No problem, sir. Are you on our group, sir?
Yes, I think I got here from the group.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So we have 2 admins.
That's from the platform.
Yes, from the platform. So the first one, I'm the one. So you can just private chat me, sir. So once I see your name, Mr. White Bakari, sir.
DM you.
So,
okay, thank you.
No problem, sir. So you can DM me.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you see White Bakari. You might also
sir.
see Aljaba Properties by the side. Okay.
No problem, sir. No problem.
Thank
sir.
you very much.
So congratulations as you await your retirement, sir. Congratulations. Many people you started.
Okay, thank you.
So thank God. Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So any other question?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Ishino.
Thank you very much. My name is Farid. Normally, I'm fondly called Rita Farid. Thank you for the awesome training. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, I missed